Guys, if this is your first time joining us for the Untapped podcast, first of all, thank you for choosing us. We are thrilled to have you here. We've actually got 5 main formats of our show. So first, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the mental side of our brand, okay? We go over our anecdotal experience with mindset and mentality. We then pass on advice and tips to you guys to then apply to your own lives. Next, we have Physical Vitality episodes, and that is actually what we have today. Now, in these episodes, we really get to showcase our expertise because we cover the physical side of our brand. So we go over things like fitness, gym, nutrition, diet, workout programs, and fitness programs like 75 Hard, supplements, and sometimes, and this is what we have for you today, we will take trending things within the fitness industry and we will talk about them, give our opinions. Now, guys, keep in mind, in these Physical Vitality episodes, they are full of free knowledge from us, okay? So there are a lot of good little tips, tricks, things like that you guys can very much so apply to your own lives, especially on your fitness journeys.
Love it, dude. Great start there for the first 2. Our third format, ladies and gentlemen, is our breaking news format. The breaking news format, put simply, is a current event-based format, is when we go over trending topics that are going on in the world, like an Israel-Hamas situation, the Ireland situation, that type of stuff. We break it down, we give our opinions on the situation, but again, we're not just doom and gloom on that stuff. We showcase why it's so important to focus on this stuff, but it's also we're not crying about it and how hard life is because of that reason, if that makes sense. Fourth format, guys, is our Knights Table format. The Knights Table format is a masculinity-based format. The reason behind that, we believe masculinity, to put it lightly, is paramount in our current world. Now, keep in mind, I'm a 25-year-old, Wurtz is 25, Mitch is 23. Because of that reason, we're not coming to you as some high on a pedestal men. The only perfect man to ever walk earth was Jesus Christ. Because of that reason, we are just encouraging bringing masculinity back into the rest of our formats and how it meshes with the rest of the formats, like, honestly, it will today, for that matter, as it always does.
Yeah.
Now, the 5th format, guys, is our guest format. The guest format, you can probably take a solid guess on that, is when we sit down with somebody that's an entrepreneur, fitness professional, somebody that brings you value, somebody that has a great story, and we just sit down, learn a lot from them, and what's really cool? We end up learning a lot. You end up learning a lot. It's really a symbiotic relationship in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
We have a really cool one coming up for that as well.
Just a couple weeks away.
Just a couple weeks away.
Very, very excited.
Very excited for that one, guys. Our last thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
What's up, little guys? Hey there.
Little guys.
Yeah, I knew this would happen with him being off last episode. He saved it up. He has to go at us now. Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
It's part of the deal, I guess. We deal with it, but whatever.
So, in an effort to kind of practice what we preached based on our last episode, the gratitude episode, is obviously everyone's Spotify Wraps came out this week, and you've been seeing it all over Instagram and whatnot. I posted mine, you posted yours, and they're kind of pointless to post, but they're kind of fun.
They're cool. They're cool. Yeah,
I honestly do like seeing what people listen to and whatnot, but music aside, it was so freaking cool to see how many of you had us not only in your top 5, but I went through our own Spotify Wrapped, like for the podcast, because it's kind of cool. It sent one out to us as well, and the amount of people that we were their top podcast. Like, that was cool. It was very, very cool to see. And those of you that, shared that with the world, shared it on your stories, and shared it with us, it meant a lot. It really, really did.
Dude, it was massive. And you know what's cool about it, too, because I went through that Spotify Wrap for the podcast as well, is I believe the numbers were like this year, our Spotify followers alone went up like 70%.
Yeah, it was
like this was
crazy.
a massive growth year for us.
Yes.
And again, we can shout out Mitch for that. We can shout out you guys for that,
100%.
like listening. And it's
the guests, those of you that came on the show with us.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
It's huge. Because people actually were like, oh, these guys are worth the follow to click that button. I mean, that means a lot. It really does. And guess what? It also puts us in the algorithm, which is awesome too.
Yeah.
So the more and more that happens, the better. And it was like showcasing each episode and what each episode brought us. I was like, this is so cool.
Right.
So yeah, I used to be like one of the guys who just hate on the Spotify Wrapped and whatnot, but it's pretty cool to see.
Well, and from that perspective, it's actually a pretty useful tool for us on this end of it, and then it kind of gives us the confidence and the validation, like, okay, people are listening, people are consistently listening. There's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of great podcasts too, and the fact that we were next to some of those, that's pretty cool. It's very, very cool. So guys, just wanted to shout all of you out. Like, we appreciate the support always. That's why we go through this every episode and we talk about sharing the show and dropping comments and questions for us. It really, really means a lot. So it was pretty cool to see.
So Spotify master race, over Apple Music.
Obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people were like, I use Apple Music like an adult. It's like, okay, you're a loser.
Like
Good to know.
Like
Yeah.
an adult.
Yeah.
Interesting, buddy. If that's your best roast, you're not an adult. Like, it's pretty simple.
That's a pretty simple equation to
Right.
answer.
Right. Good Lord.
Yeah, you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Apple Music.
Man, you got us.
Yeah, it's a more difficult program to use. Awesome. Yeah, you're
Exactly.
super adultish of you,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Yeah.
right. When in reality, we don't really care. If you're listening,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
if you're listening, we love it. So,
Got to put the caveat in there.
yes,
Stay with us,
yes.
Apple Music listeners.
100%. Yeah. But anyway, so like I mentioned in the intro,
Yep.
sometimes with our physical vitality episodes, guys, we will go through trending things in the fitness industry, especially something that really pops out like this one. And then we will kind of cover it and whatnot. And today we want to talk about Dana White. He's been viral
He's
lot
been
here
everywhere
recently,
yeah.
which is pretty sweet because, we're obviously big UFC fans. We religiously watch and whatnot, and we follow it. And it's an important thing to us to make a point of keeping up with and watching and whatnot. And so obviously we already have a good opinion and a high opinion of Dana White because he is probably the best, commissioner.
Whatever you
His
want to
title
call
is
him.
president, but
yeah.
best guy that runs a league, out of the MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA. So it's been cool seeing him more and more, especially with more like real world stuff, not just fighting. But he came out with saying, I think this was 2 weeks ago, I believe. It was after the last pay-per-view, which was maybe either 2 or 3 weekends ago. I don't remember
Right.
exactly. That he did an 86-hour fast. And when you first hear that, it's like, what?
It's like, how long of
Like
a fast?
That's over 3 days, And so we wanted to dive into this a little bit more and talk about the, is that a valid thing to do? Is it something anyone can do?
Yeah.
Everyone should do? Like what does that kind of mean as far as
Is
that
it
big
the
of a
average
fast?
population's thing they should be utilizing
Exactly.
as a tool?
Exactly.
Essentially was what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mitch, did you have the video? So we're actually going to go ahead and play the video. I think it's like a 20-second video, but we're going to go ahead and play that for you guys right here.
I just got done fasting for 86 hours. I feel like a superhero. I feel incredible. And I want to tell you how I did it. I love sharing this kind of stuff with you. So when I left the event on Saturday night, I started fasting. And here's a picture of me Saturday night when I left. I just got done this morning, so Saturday to Wednesday. And here are the pictures of me this morning.
Nice. Yeah. So the beauty about what Dana was saying there is that it to me, when I first watched the video, I was like, okay, like, is this going to be like, some BS he's going to be spewing and whatnot about?
Clickbaity and
Yeah,
stuff.
clickbaity.
Right.
He just talked about his own personal experience with it.
Yeah.
The whole video, I think, is like a little bit over 2 minutes, like slightly over 2 minutes. But that 30-second clip basically goes over what he essentially is talking about there. And, what I appreciated from him was that, one, he showed the results from it, which is awesome, always really cool
Which
because
was
it's like
insane.
they were insane results.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk about why that was in a second here.
Mhm.
But the cool thing is that this is a very unique thing. Fasting has become very popular in the last, like, I don't know, probably 2 years or so. It's been getting
I
a
would
little bit
say
more
so.
traction
At
or
least
so.
that we've seen. Yeah.
That we've been noticing in the fitness industry.
Right.
Again, we're pretty tapped in for the most part, but again, we miss stuff as it
Right.
goes. But fasting is actually
We're also untapped.
that's true. So wait, so I guess we
We're tapped in, but we are untapped.
yeah,
Yeah, let's move on.
yeah, it's okay. We'll skip past that one. Yeah. But what a lot of people actually don't know is that a lot of world religions, and for that matter, a lot of cultures, used to fast all the time, like
Oh, and still
religiously.
do.
It was
Still
yeah.
do.
And
Yeah.
Muslims are a big culture that does
Yes.
that. I believe some Orthodox Christians still do and whatnot.
Mhm.
And it's basically like Ramadan, for example, is one of the fasts they
Yeah.
do. I believe it's once the sun goes down. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about Muslims.
I don't
so
know the
I don't want
specifics
to
of
comment
it.
on that and
Right.
whatnot, but a lot of the times, like, world cultures have used this as basically a thing to dial in your mental focus is
Mhm.
essentially what it is.
Mhm.
And so I thought this was really cool because, again, this is a guy that we said, like, probably the best commissioner / president of any sports league in the world, a very popular character
Mhm.
as of the last, like, probably 5 years or more now.
Absolutely.
And so it was interesting because, again, this is a physical health topic. Dana, if you look back probably 3 to 5 years ago, I mean, the dude looked like, to be truthful, he looked like shit.
Oh yeah, he was a
And-
tubbo.
He was
He looked like Mitch and I back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. You and Mitch were thickos. He was probably more thick than you guys, for that matter.
Probably.
Yeah, but The point is, like, he did look like crap. And in the last, I believe it's like a year or two, he said he's really dialed in that. And this seems like a culmination of him trying out other facets of fitness and whatnot, which I appreciate.
Well, and I think part of the reason too that maybe he changed physically, and this is just speculation, but here he is running a fighting, what do they call it?
Organization.
Whatever
you want to call it,
like a federation. Is
technically it's a federation.
Organization's what I'm going to use. Here he is running a fighting organization where most of the athletes are freaking diced. The male and females.
Oh, yeah.
Other than literally like the heavyweight guys. Because even the light heavyweight at 205 for the men are jacked, shredded.
Terrifying human beings. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then as you go down in the weight classes, like they're just even more and more cut. And it's like, here I am, a lardo around all these shredded athletes at the top of the game. Like, I need to kind of look the part too. Not that he needs to be a fighter or anything like that, but honestly, Andy's talked about this too with First Form. Here he was speaking to thousands of people about weight loss and physical and mental health and always being better and coming out with 75 hard and stuff. And he was a tubbo. You know what I mean? And then he realized, he's like, I cannot be 350 talking to these people about living healthy lives.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
The messages just goes right over their head when you talk about that type of stuff. Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely,
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this. If I'm in the gym and some big old dude comes up and talks to me about what I'm doing wrong with my diet or something, it's like, dude, how about you look in all the mirrors in here?
Yeah.
And then let's have a conversation.
There should be plenty of them in a gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Hypothetically,
there should
at least.
be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
But you're absolutely right, because that's one reason he probably has been really dialing in the health for the last 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing he talked about, I was watching a longer form podcast. I don't know if it was with the Nelk Boys or Theo Vaughn. With Theo Vaughn, that was a phenomenal podcast.
He's been blowing
to
up
watch.
too. Yeah.
Theo's been taking off. But I believe he was on with Theo, and he basically said that one thing he noticed was that with his children, I think he has like 3 or 4 kids or something like that, he wasn't able to even be as good of a dad as he wanted to be, because he already has all the stress that a commissioner or somebody that owns a business would have.
Talking about Dana.
Yeah. Which is a lot.
Right.
So it's like, if he wants to bring his best self to his family as well, you have to be dialed in every facet.
Absolutely.
So like he's been dialing that in. Now, if we're talking about the science of fasting and whatnot, there is relatively little, for that matter, that I've been able to find. If we're talking like fasting being like a guaranteed way to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
No.
You might lose 10 pounds, but you're going to gain it back as soon as you start eating.
Exactly. So
or drinking.
That's a great point right there. Wurtz.
Water, Mitch. Okay, not drinking alcohol. Hear you over there.
Yeah, Mitchell's getting his tequila sodas going over there. The tequila soda lime.
Mitch was like, drink. Mitch was like, someone say drinking?
Yeah.
Yes, because we're all huge drinkers here.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. Huge alcoholics here. Massive fans of it. But the thing is that science-wise, if you're looking to fasting to be like a physical remedy to something, if we're talking like weight loss-wise, it's not going to be that case.
No, it's not sustainable.
The reason Dana went from how he looked, and he looked pretty jacked in the first picture, and we'll show those pictures as well, the transformation pictures, is he went from pretty jacked, bulkier-looking dude to like it looked like everything had dialed down, and you could see the abs correctly, like all the arms were a little more defined, that type of stuff. That happens because so the way he did this, guys, he essentially did the first 24 hours, he did only water, only drank water. He said that was the toughest day. The next 24 hours, and actually the next 48 hours, if I'm doing the math correctly here, he did 2 servings of bone broth a day. With bone broth is a very light meal. It's like 40 to 50 calories usually at most a lot of times. So he did that for like lunch and dinner. Mm-hmm. So essentially he was on like a lighter fast, but that technically if you eat anything, it's breaking the fast. But in that case, 40, 50 calories, it's not really going to make that much of a difference with it. So, and then after that, the last 14 hours or so, I think it was just water. And then he stopped it at that 86 hour mark. Right. So you got to think, guys, what happens when your body is like, oh, I don't have any intake of calories coming in. It essentially just cleanses the toxins that are going on in your body. So he, looks less bloated because of that reason, because he lost a lot of water weight, because all it was just water, and then it cleared itself out.
Exactly.
So basically you're flushing your system during that 86 hours. So it's not something that is going to be like, it's for example, like as a bodybuilder, they wouldn't use like fasting for 86 hours as something to cut off an extra 5 pounds or whatever.
Right.
They would use calories in, calories out as a cutting tool,
Right.
which is the correct way to do it.
And then right before they step on stage is when they cut carbs and cut water.
Exactly.
You know, so that's why they look so peeled, like literally
Yes.
peeled
Yeah.
on stage.
Looks
you
like their
know?
skin's like attached to like the
No,
last
literally.
bit of thing on there.
Yeah, literally. Which is why you can't sustain something like that. You know, your body is not meant to be like that long term.
Yep.
But it's kind of the same idea as a sauna. You know, if you sit in a sauna for, 45, 60, 90 minutes even,
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing. You're sweating out so much so you feel lighter. You're not as bloated. You're getting the toxins out. So it's the same idea as what a sauna does.
Yeah. But essentially, too, is like along top of that, because you're absolutely right. It, one, gets rid of the toxins, which that's why Dana looked less bloated in that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Dana probably had a meal right after that, and he looked pretty much the same as he did in the first picture.
Exactly.
But again, what Dana was really talking about in the video and I saw is the mental side effects were the best part of it.
Yes.
Because you got to think, humans used to, again, we used to hunt, and we wouldn't be able to eat for a few days on a time or whatever, and that was a pretty normal thing, hundreds of years ago or whatever it was. So in reality, what Dana's doing too is also building a lot of discipline.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, does food have this much of a hold on me?
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. It's like, do I really need these calories?
Mhm.
And I've been trying it out myself recently, actually, for the last like week or so. I've been doing intermittent fasting, which essentially is like I wait till usually 10 or 11 to eat, and then I only eat up until 6 or 7 at night or so, give or take. And then same thing, repeat, don't eat until 10 or 11 the next day, etc.
Right.
And honestly, my energy in the mornings has felt great. When I'm up and moving there, and I'm like, I'm buzzing right now.
Yeah.
Well,
and the key to intermittent fasting too is making sure you're getting enough sleep.
Exactly.
That's how you're going to be able to have that energy in that morning. If you're intermittent fasting, but you're only getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep or less,
you're screwed.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get through a day at all.
Yeah.
So that's the key there. If you guys are interested in the intermittent fasting, because that's a pretty popular thing to do. And,
it is.
And you want to talk about mental benefits? Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it was the first time you and I went to Matt Vincent's gym, Dope, which we talked about that last episode. Again, that's our most recent vlog.
Yeah.
So if you guys have not gone and checked that out, definitely go and do that. But it was the first time that we had the opportunity to go out there. I believe we were talking to someone there, and we were kind of talking about fasting and
I know what you're talking
whatnot.
about.
But one of them happened to mention it was like, it made me realize how much time I spend thinking about food. When you're doing a fast, obviously you're not eating, or you're taking in extremely low calories like what Dana did here. I think that's why he called it a water fast.
Exactly.
Because he basically was only drinking water.
Yep.
But it made them realize how much they thought about food and how much throughout the day food occupied their mind. And it shouldn't be that way.
No.
You shouldn't constantly be thinking about your next meal and constantly thinking about food and wanting to eat. That's for me anyway. That's probably one of my worst habits is bored eating. I've really subsided that, especially over the course of the last 2-3 years or whatever it is. But there's still times where that creeps back in. It's like, I'm not really doing anything. Like, why don't I just flip on a show and get some pretzels out or something? And it's like, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Just because I'm bored doesn't mean that my mind should just go to, oh, let's have a snack. Because then that's when you're mindlessly eating, you're mindlessly taking in calories, and before you know it, you took in 5,000 calories that day.
Yeah.
So that's another part of it. That's another mental benefit is it'll make you realize how much time you spend thinking about food.
Absolutely. A good example of that is actually last night with us too. Is like, and because I used to do the same thing at 9 or 10 at night. I'm like, I could use a chip. I'm watching the Avalanche game or whatever, and whatnot. Right. Last night, you and I had a couple beers and whatnot, and we totally could have just started chowing on some
100%.
chips, and we didn't.
Exactly.
We wanted to have a couple beers because Busch Lattes, we enjoy them. Like they're solid.
You
They're
put a Busch Light in front of me, it's getting destroyed.
more than likely.
Yeah.
Unless I'm on 75 hard, it's like, oh yeah.
Wait, you can't drink Busch Light on 75?
I did hear Andy say that might be an exception on 75.
Yeah, I think that was in the second day in the live video, right?
Busch Lattes are good. Clear for 75.
Obviously not true. Let's just put
would
that
be
out there.
Crazy if Andy said something like that. Oh my gosh, dude.
It'd be pretty funny.
That would be awesome. But the point is, guys, is like usually like that's a good sign of where I notice your discipline coming to play. There is like you and I would have just gone to town usually on some
100%.
chips like as normal,
Yeah.
but we were like, okay, we're gonna have a couple beers, but that's all we need. Like
Yeah.
we don't need to go challenge some chips along with us and whatnot.
Notice what we did is we went and walked a mile and a half.
Yeah, actually, funny enough,
not to
Yeah.
oh, we got to work off these beers, but
No.
like that's just what we do.
It's what you said. It's food is not like not always our top priority on our top of our head anymore.
Exactly.
It really used to be, even because
For sure.
and for me honestly, it was the way of like because I had to eat all the time to put on put on weight.
Sure.
And now it's like I can sit at this weight pretty solidly
You
that
have
I'm
a
at
hold on
now.
it.
So
Right.
I have no need to have food be my first priority
Right.
anymore. And so I had to break that habit like in the last 2 years or so.
Sure.
And yeah,
Well, and you're more mature in it now too. You're not if you go, 5 or 6 hours without eating, yeah, you might be hungry, but
Yep.
Excuse me. But back in the day, you were probably freaking out a little bit like I'm probably losing weight right now because I haven't eaten in 6
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
You didn't know any better.
which and now that we know that that's BS science too.
Right.
There's no
Exactly.
like not intermittent fasting. There's no anabolic windows or whatever. Or
Exactly.
like every hour or two you have to eat like all the bodybuilder science
Right.
says and whatnot. It's
Right.
not true.
Right.
It used to be the known science back in the 2000s and the
Mhm.
early 2010s, but new research has showed that's not the case.
Right.
So, but you're absolutely right. I think that's the big takeaway from this fasting with Dana is scientifically, if we're talking about weight loss or physical changes, I don't know if we should rely on that too much because some people say that, fasting unlocks like certain proteins in your body and it starts doing this special thing and with your hormones and whatnot. Like there's not a ton of research that fully backs it up. And for that matter, like a scientist like Gary Brecka, for example, like he's been called out by a lot of other doctors as well. So there's like a lot of back and forth there where you can't say for sure that fasting does this
Right.
beautiful hormonal change in your
Sure.
body. You can't just set your hat on that and be like, yes, it does do this.
Right. And it's certainly more of a almost like holistic
Yeah.
type of
Which is fine.
science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's honestly a lot of holistic type things that it's like, dang, this is more beneficial
Mhm.
than modern medicine.
Absolutely.
Like sitting in a cold plunge for 3 minutes might do a lot more good for me than taking this medicine
Yeah.
or taking that pill, taking ibuprofen, because you're inflamed. Sit in a cold plunge for 3 minutes, take a cold shower.
It's going to decrease that
And I mean a
inflammation.
cold shower.
Yeah.
Get
like all the way down.
into cold
Yeah.
water, and that could end up being more beneficial than taking medicine, taking pills. Taking an anti-inflammatory. You never know.
Yeah.
It's
It's all about experimentation in a lot of ways.
exactly.
Because a lot of this, when it comes to fasting and we're talking about cold plunging, inflammation, all that stuff, that is something that you'll like. I wouldn't if you guys are listening and you're like, man, I just started in fitness.
Mhm.
I just got into this. I wouldn't say you should like dive right into that right
Sure,
away
Sure.
because you need to get the basics down first. You need
Absolutely.
to get the exercise and the nutrition down first,
Right.
and controlling your calories
Right.
and learning how to train with intensity. Then go from there.
Right. And
You
that
know?
was actually it was a while back, but we actually had a Q&A question that Mitch asked us. Wow. Just big brain fart
Ass
there.
just went out the
Uh,
window there, eh?
But a Q&A question that Mitch brought to us, and it was at what point should you start looking into extra pieces of equipment or things like that? Saunas and cold plunges would certainly go into that category.
Mhm.
Obviously, those are a little bit more expensive if you get the legit ones, but that's where that would come into play. If you're kind of at our point in our fitness career, fitness journey, whatever, okay, we're at the point where doing those types of things, especially if we have a way to have access to those,
Yeah.
it makes sense to do. But like you just said, if you're just starting out, don't feel like you have to sit in the sauna for 45 minutes every single time you work out. Now, if you have access to it and you want to, I'm not going to tell you don't.
Yeah.
But
Because it'll give
don't-
you a lot of heart health benefits too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So,
don't feel like you have to just because you see it everywhere. Don't feel like you have to find your way to a cold plunge because you see it everywhere because it's very popular on TikTok and Instagram and stuff right now. It's popular because it works.
Yep.
But you're not failing on your fitness journey, especially if you're just starting out, if you're not doing those things. You're not failing.
absolutely, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So let me ask you this. Would you say that something like this is valid for the normal population, the average population? Should everybody look into doing an 86-hour fast like this, like Dana did?
So that's why I'm glad you asked that question because I think that's a really big thing to hit on
Mm-hmm.
when we're seeing somebody that with Dana that has millions of followers and people that follow
Sure.
him. Everybody wants to start doing it.
Absolutely.
I personally, for the average population, right off the bat,
Yeah.
I think you need to have some years under your belt of understanding basics of fitness and basics of exercise and nutrition before you ever should even consider like an 86-hour water fast.
Yeah.
Because if you don't even have the discipline to go to the gym 3 days a week, you definitely aren't going to have the correct discipline
To not eat
Yeah, to
for
do a water
3.5.
fast correctly. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's no way.
Exactly.
No shot.
Yeah.
Again, nowadays, I think you and I could do it, and we honestly might do it just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Just to see how it goes.
Right.
But you and I would do it, and we would understand the whole point of it, and
Right.
understand the, for that matter, the techniques to it as
Sure,
well, and
sure.
what we're supposed to do then. Like when do we? Should we have bone broth? Should we
Right.
just do all water for the 3 days?
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
We would understand that type of stuff. So I wouldn't say for the average population it's valid. And for that matter, one thing I wanted to add on to is I would, if you're a female listening to this, I would be very, very careful on considering fasting
Mm-hmm.
because your guys' hormones are completely, and hormones and biology in general is completely different than males.
Sure.
So a fast will affect you completely differently than a man will.
Yeah.
Just like that's the same thing. It's just like strength training is going to affect a woman differently than
Absolutely.
it will a man.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point that out because ladies, it's like you guys are on a 28-day hormonal cycle. We're on a 24-hour hormonal cycle.
Right.
That's something a lot of people don't even consider.
Yeah.
Is that because of the periods and all that stuff that come along with it, it is normal for women to have a 28-day hormonal cycle while we have that, again, repeating that 24-hour hormonal cycle as men.
Sure.
So it's different.
Right.
You know, it might be dangerous for you to take 3 days of just water, and it could hurt. Who knows? It could hurt your hormones, could hurt fertility. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about it yet.
Sure.
And honestly, until we know enough, I wouldn't even consider this if you were a female. To
Yeah.
be completely honest with you, I would be a little bit timid about jumping into that. And that's just me as a fitness professional, you know, like giving a little bit of a warning and whatnot. It's a free country, but that's my opinion on it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I not that I've seen tons and tons of people do these very extended fasts, but I've never seen anything regarding that like females should. I also haven't seen anything saying females shouldn't.
Yeah.
But what you're saying there, it definitely makes sense. You know, especially with the different hormonal cycles and whatnot. You know, we just saw our buddy Brock Wilson. He did 100-hour fast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which was nuts.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to him about that and kind of get his experience on it as well. But I mean, there you go, guys. Like that's for the average population, just male or female, just average population in general. Like it's not necessarily something you need to do.
Yeah,
It really
it's not
isn't.
really a tool in the repertoire for the average population at this point in time.
Right.
Like it just
Right.
isn't. And
There's just other
Yeah.
more important things to focus on first.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree with you there. I really,
Yeah.
really do. And then, you know, we kind of touched on this earlier. I guess I kind of brought it up. This was another thing that Dana, it kind of went viral. He was in an interview. I don't remember who the interview was with.
I don't either.
For some reason, I was thinking it was Chris Willis, maybe.
Maybe.
It's possible, but it doesn't
Either
matter.
way, yeah.
It was a different interview. It was different than the fasting interview. I know that for sure. But where he talked about how he feels after COVID and how he feels about modern medicine and whatnot. And we've actually talked about this personally as well, just among ourselves. But he said, unless I have a surgery that's needed or I break a bone or, you know, something like that, something major, he's like, I will never go to a normal doctor ever again. You know, if I'm feeling sick or I'm feeling under the weather or something like that, like I'm not going to do it because what are they going to do? They're going to put you on pills. They're
Prescribe.
going to put you on a prescription.
Yep. Prescribe. Yep.
Exactly.
Over and over
Exactly.
again,
And you were on a long-term prescription with your ADHD medicine. I was on one for an acid reflux disease I developed when I was fat as a truck. You know, like it. So
As a truck. Man, you were huge.
So, you know, in different ways, we've both been on long-term prescriptions, and then we both kind of realized, and obviously those are very different situations, but we both realized it's like there are other ways that I can control this.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to be a prescription. So now we can look back on it. And it's like, man, we were almost a part of that system. We were for a time, but we realized, you know, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah, I let my parents' bank account be a part of that system.
Well, that too. I mean, what was it? $300 a month?
It was
$900
it was
or
$300
something?
a month.
$300 a month.
Yeah.
$3,600.
And the nootropics I use now are $30 a month.
$30 a month.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little bit longer, maybe
Yeah.
40 servings or something.
Or nootropic like exercise is just
Yeah, oh, that works
that's
too.
pretty
sunlight.
easy one. That's a
Sunlight's a good
$30 a
one.
month. Yeah, Sunlight's another one. $30 a month gym membership. That's a pretty easy one.
Do you pay $30 a month for sunlight?
I do.
Do you?
Yep.
Yeah.
The son actually came and charged me himself.
Mitch lets you outside for 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, Mitch is the gatekeeper to it. He opens the deck for me and lets me go out there like a pet dog.
Mitch, I got to ask you, how do you use his $30 a month for yourself? You know, what do you do with that money?
Botox.
Botox. I think it's a lot more than $30 a month
Wow.
for Botox.
It's the same East St. Louis guy he has for his steroids.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you're a loyal fan, you know.
Yeah, if you're like OG fan for that matter of our vlogs, yeah.
I'll give you guys a hint. Go look at our first vlog on YouTube.
Made it pretty easy for you guys there. I was wondering why Mitch's skin was looking so smooth lately.
Yeah,
that
no,
makes
it's looking
sense.
good. Yeah. You look beautiful, Mitch.
Very supple.
Yes.
Supple?
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird word.
That's just him trying to prove that he's more intelligent than
Definitely.
us.
I know what the word is. It's just a weird word. Yeah, it's not what a word I would use in my normal vocab during the day. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, wouldn't throw it in there.
Most
Apparently.
words are weird to you. You don't like very good
Intelligence.
English. Yeah.
I'm not high IQ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't really like words. I mean, it's all right.
I'm not even convinced I know how to read.
To this day.
I've just
too.
memorized a bunch of words.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading Tim Grover's book, and it's going in one ear out the other. Yeah. Oh man, dude.
Just so stupid. Oh my god.
It's okay. Again, this is how we are. And if you can't listen to the podcast and have some fun on it, then
Right.
wrong podcast for you.
Right. Anyway, back to the point here. So your ADHD medicine, for example, $3,600 a month, give or take. Okay.
Or $300 a month.
A year is what I meant to say.
Oh,
$3,600, give or take a year.
Okay, that makes
Yep,
more sense.
that's what
yeah.
I meant to say. You know, to whereas an actual cold plunge, like from Plunge, the
Yeah.
brand, you know, it's gonna be $4,000 or $5,000. Okay, so that sounds like a lot up front, and it is. But what if you had stayed on that ADHD medicine even to this day?
Right.
You're looking at over 10, 15,
Over 10,
$20,000.
Yeah.
You know, by now, and then if you just kept going, you know, you're looking at probably well over $100,000 over the course of a lifetime.
100%.
So why not spend the, you know, $35,000, $4,000, $5,000 now, get a cold plunge, and dive into those remedies and that type of recovery.
Hop in there in the morning. Yeah.
Exactly. And the natural dopamine release you get from something like that. Again, sunlight. We talk about this all the time for a reason, guys. Like, it is so vital. And it's tougher in the wintertime, without a doubt.
Yep.
That's why seasonal depression, things like that come up in the wintertime. But if it's sunny on a particular day in the middle of December, get outside. Bundle up and get outside and watch what happens.
Yep.
I mean, seriously.
Even when the clouds are out, you just feel better.
Exactly.
Like, genuinely.
You do,
Yeah.
without a doubt. You know, we were putting up our Christmas lights before I came over today, and it's just like, man, I'm outside. Like, this is good.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah.
And guess what? You're never going to be told by a doctor to do those things, to go buy a cold plunge, to go outside. Now, if you have a really good doctor, or maybe you go see like a
Naturopath.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. You know, you go see someone like that, like they might tell you those things.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
There's definitely a little bit of a counterculture revolution. The problem is right now though is that the insurance companies are so bloated and big
yes,
that they
exactly.
still fund the normal modern
Right.
medical industry,
Right.
and there's no insurance for going to a naturopath.
No.
There's no insurance for buying a cold plunge. There's
Exactly.
no insurance for buying a sauna and whatnot,
Right.
which is pretty funny. That should tell you where the insurance and our
Exactly.
medical industry's priorities are,
Right.
for that matter. Or there's no insurance. Well, there is for older people, I believe, for getting a gym membership.
Oh,
insurance for
definitely.
getting-
Silver sneakers and stuff like
silver
that. Yeah.
sneakers, that type
Yeah.
of stuff. But
Which is awesome.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
good. But it's only 55 plus.
Right.
Now, some companies that are good companies might give you
Definitely.
a stipend for a gym membership, but
Absolutely.
that's not even every company these
Right.
days.
Right.
So I hope there's a counterculture revolution, but I think it's going to be a long one.
Oh,
if we're
yeah.
talking about getting rid of insurance and not getting rid of it, but you know what I mean, like
Sure.
restructuring it
Yes.
and moving towards like actual what do you call it, medications,
Just
so to
natural
speak.
ways,
Yeah.
you know, to heal yourself. And again, if you snap your arm in half, you can't go in a cold plunge and your arm's just going to magically be okay. Obviously not what we're saying.
Or for that matter, you can't just pray about it and it'll reset itself. and
Sure,
whatnot.
sure. So we're
Yeah.
not saying all doctors are bad or that doctors are useless, except if your name's Anthony Fauci.
Well,
you know.
he's.
I should have brought my glasses today, but
I have them ready to go, and
Yeah.
if you need them, we can trade off. Yeah, if needed.
but so we're not saying anything like that.
Yep.
Nor are we doctors giving you guys, you know, any kind of
Sure.
actual medical advice. We're giving recommendations based on our experience and our knowledge.
Yeah.
But there are ways that don't have to be prescriptions that can help heal your body, heal your mind, and just all around make your life better. You know, and those just don't get talked about.
Yeah, it's really pretty rough for that matter, because The problem is if you're not focused on an actual natural remedy of some sort, like for example, let's say you're 300 pounds and you have back pain and you go to the doctor, hey doc, I have back pain. And they give you a pill. You're addressing the problem. You're not addressing the actual root of the problem.
Well, and you're exactly right. They're giving you a pill for the back pain.
Exactly.
Not
a symptom.
Talking to you about, hey, maybe we need to switch up your diet. Maybe we should start getting into the gym, things like that. Again, there are some good doctors that will tell you those things, but it's like, so the reason your back is hurting is because you're carrying all this weight and it's centralized on your lower back. Yeah. You know, things like that. Like, they're not going to tell you that.
Another one is like when I started focusing on actually training the strength of my erector spinae, which are basically the muscles that line your back and whatnot. They give a dense look to your back, essentially, if you look at a bodybuilder. When I started focusing on, low back strength, mid, upper back strength, all that, my back pain has been pretty much non-existent.
Oh, yeah.
Like for that matter, for the last 3+ years or so.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, we know how to take care of those muscles. We know how to recover those muscles because, guys, these are basically the muscles that are right along the spine.
Yeah. They're literally two parallel lines that go down the spine. Yeah.
And those are very prone to getting very, very tight because you don't think about those muscles. When you think about your back, you think about your traps and your lats and things like that, your rhomboids, the big ones, getting the Christmas tree.
Yeah, or the most popular ones.
At the lower ones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. However, there are a lot of muscles and a lot of small ones too in the back, especially these erectors. So using things like a Pso-Rite, which is it's a hard plastic, basically a U shape that you lay back on. You can also use it on your hips. You can use it up your abs too, up your psoas
into
muscle,
the psoas,
is what that's called.
Yeah.
To kind of loosen up and recover those muscles because a lot of times people will complain about their back being tight, hurting, and that can be a cause of that.
Yeah,
a reason
and if
for
you don't even address that, you're definitely not going to get any resolution to your pain in your back.
Exactly,
it's never going to happen.
Right,
because you're right though. You got to think about the erector, like how important is the spine and how much work does it do daily?
It controls everything, really.
Exactly. So naturally, it's going to need some tender love and care. I mean, to put it lightly, like on that area.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefit out of it that you need to.
Yeah,
you're not going to
100%.
get the function out of it you need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, guys. Anyway, that is going to be everything we wanted to cover on Dana White's 86-hour fast. I think maybe we should look into doing something like that.
I think so. I think I'd be down.
It would probably be the hardest mental test that we've done. Obviously, we've done 75 hard a few times. We're now getting into the cold plunges and stuff, and those are extremely tough.
There's 3 minutes though.
Exactly. We've rucked in literal negative degree. We've rucked in over 100-degree weather. We've done it all as far as those types of things go. But we've never gone without food over an extended period of time. You know what I mean? So I think that would be a very cool thing. But again, guys, like we mentioned earlier, we're at that point that can be something we look into. If you're just starting out, it is not something you need to.
Nope.
Far from it. But guys, at the end of all of our episodes, Money Mitch will ask us a Q&A question that is submitted by you guys, the listeners or the viewers. There's a few different ways that we would love for you to submit these questions to us. Number one, you can DM them to us on Instagram at untapped.llp. You can also DM them to us personally if you would like to do that, or text, whatever. You can email them to us, extricationfitness@gmail.com. That's a little bit of a mouthful. There is an email button in our Instagram bio, so that makes it super easy as well. You can drop them in the comments on any of our Instagram posts or our YouTube video. So, guys, go to YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. But you can also leave the questions there. So, anyway, without further ado, Money Mitch, let's hear it.
Do you think these big names do these, not challenges, but this type of stuff for clicks and attention? Or do you think it's an actual real personal thing that they're trying to improve on? So do you think Dana was just doing it just for attention?
Yeah.
Or do you think he actually wanted to improve himself?
Yeah.
Depends on the person.
Yeah.
It really depends on the person, depends on the influencer you're focusing on and whatnot. Because I think somebody like Dana, I believe he actually did something like that. I believe he's actually doing it for his personal benefit, for sure.
Right.
And again, we haven't met Dana. Eventually we will, and it's like we'll probably ask him then about something like that. But it's from what we've seen though. Dana's somebody I'd believe in. Dana's somebody I'd say, okay,
trust.
Yeah. I could trust this person and be like, okay, he's not BSing about this. Now, does it get clicks?
Oh, 100% without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like, for example, like somebody in the keto, carnivore, basically like a doctor that is super set on a certain diet. space and whatnot, they'll pick out certain foods and they're like, you're going to die in 5 years if you eat cornflakes, for example, and whatnot. And it's like, okay, let's not use that type of rhetoric, please,
Right.
because first of all, it scares everybody.
Sure.
You're going into any type of nutrition.
Like, damn, I ate
'cause,
cornflakes this morning.
Did I have this certain pesticide in my food? I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Like
Right.
that, it's like that doesn't give a conducive relationship to people with food at all.
Exactly.
When that happens,
Yes.
it
It's
terrifies
very
them.
dangerous.
It terrifies them.
The
Very
question
dangerous.
came from Liver King because Liver King got exposed
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
for that.
Yeah.
So
But again, Liver King, somebody who you, as a consumer, that's on us to call out. The people, like for example, like any of the carnivore, keto people and whatnot, you have to put it on yourself to be like, okay, is he saying something I can trust right now?
Mhm.
You know, and Liver King's a great example of that because he was claiming to be natural for over a year, I believe it was, or something like that.
And like
And
very like saying it everywhere.
if you weren't halfway brain dead, you could tell the dude was juicing. I mean, real
What if
real
you
talk.
were under halfway brain dead?
Under halfway, you have a tough time telling if he was
Gotcha.
juicing for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure. Confirmed doctor right there. But but I mean, real
I
talk.
guess it would be
like,
over halfway brain dead.
yeah, right.
Well, maybe are we? Oh shit.
We're both brain dead.
Are we brain
we fit
dead?
into this. We fit into this category, so you know, like we're like 75%.
We just exposed
functional, I think, or
ourselves.
so, give or take. But I mean, look, you could look at the dude. First of all, like his abs look like somebody chiseled them out of his stomach and
Yeah.
whatnot, and he also was just tan, like all the time. So like,
Wait.
So the reason
I don't think juicing makes you tan.
So the reason I say that is because there's literally a compound called
Makes you darker. That's crazy.
You're like, if it makes me darker, I'm going on it now. Yeah. I need the vertical.
Oh god. Oh, that's hilarious.
But the reason I say that is because there's literally a compound called melanotin. I don't believe it's a steroid. It's like a peptide of some sort where you literally inject it and it makes you tanner. Like it makes your skin, the melanin of your skin tanner.
Interesting.
So usually people that are taking that also are on steroids, almost always, which is weird.
I mean, it makes you more defined. Why do you think bodybuilders
True.
tan right before?
True. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said, yeah, you're right. But so somebody like Liver King is like, that's on the consumer because
Sure.
there's always going to be, what are they calling charlatans? There's always going to be charlatans and people who make stuff up on the internet and in
Definitely.
real life in front of you and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're going to lie. We knew plenty of people growing up who were just like pathological liars, and anything that came out of their mouth you couldn't trust.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on the internet. You have to do a little bit of stepping back as a consumer and being like, okay, is this somebody I want to
What's
trust?
the purpose of this?
What's the purpose of this?
Right.
Now, in Dana's case, he just kind of laid out what he did and was like, I got a lot of benefits out of it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's usually when you can tell somebody's genuine about
And
it.
he wasn't like, this is something everyone should do or anything like that. He just, you're exactly right. Dude just talked about his experience, showed a before and after, and wasn't like, if you want to lose weight, this is how you do it. It's like, no.
Because it's not true. Yeah.
And he's also proven time and time again that he's a trustworthy source. Is he someone that you should take, workout advice from or something like that? Maybe not, because that's not his field. But if you're trying to learn how to run a business, run a sports league, run a rec league or even something
build
like that,
culture.
like,
Yeah.
then maybe he's your guy.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're trying to buy an island, he's your guy.
Yeah. I mean, for that matter, yeah.
He did
That's
that.
a great point.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? What are some examples you've seen that you could trust and you couldn't trust?
Well, not to be overly redundant, but something like 75 hard
Yeah.
from Andy.
No, it's true though.
And I think the biggest reason you can trust Andy on that is because he is always doing it. Always. He's always practicing what he preaches.
Yeah.
Um,
There's always evidence of it too. There's people filming it
yeah,
all
absolutely.
the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and we've done it ourselves. We've seen the benefits both physically and mentally.
Mhm.
So that's a very obvious choice for us.
Yeah.
Something that's not trustworthy would be, I would say, anyone and everyone like during COVID who just all of a sudden knew everything about medical advice.
Yeah, they did. Oh man.
And I think the way, because some of you might be thinking, well, you guys talk about COVID a lot. Well, one, we don't claim to be experts on anything. medically related. We never have, we never will, because that would be out of pocket for us.
Yeah.
What we do is we read research from trusted sources, and we know where to find those trusted
Compare
sources.
and
And we
contrast
compare
those
and
sources.
contrast.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So that's how we differentiate ourselves there. But anytime something major happens in the world, whenever, it's a Israel-Hamas situation, it's
Everybody's a
COVID,
war expert now.
Ukraine,
Yeah.
exactly. Trump, anything to do with Trump. Like everyone is just all of a sudden a political advisor, a medical advisor, a war advisor, and it's just
Yep.
like, bro, like you're just following along with what you saw on CNBC. You're not trustworthy. Neither are those people. They've shown time and time again.
Well, I mean, Elon's not obviously on CNBC. He's obviously not following what they're
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. Exactly. So I would say anytime there's a major event in the world and you just see your normal Instagram influencer talking about it and giving their opinion,
It's a joke.
they're not a trustworthy source because
Your
they're probably
favorite
being paid.
celebrity. Yeah.
Just because Travis Kelce is in a Pfizer commercial, is that really going to make you go get the vaccine now?
And there was like evidence coming out that he got paid millions of dollars for that. So it's
Exactly.
like is
That's
that
not-
trustworthy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is not a trustworthy
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
Is
Is he an mRNA expert? Because everybody else
Exactly.
thought they were.
Yeah,
And
right.
Going into 2021,
Right.
they were like the new mRNA vaccine expert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
joke.
So those would be some examples. I'm sure there's some other ones that I could think
Oh, sure.
of. But at least off the top of my head, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah.
But I also do think with Dana, and anytime someone in the public eye like him does something like this, Joe Rogan has done several things like this, and Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, these guys do, just these insane things, like 200-mile runs and stuff like that. Is it for clicks? Maybe some. Is it for their own
Sure.
mental and physical benefit? Some.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a mixture of both.
Mhm.
Dana doesn't need clicks to grow anything. Like he grows on his own. His business grows on his own and whatnot, or on its own. But I think it's a little bit of a mixture.
I think there's an argument to be made what you just said there, though, like where clicks for a good thing can be a really good thing. And
Yeah,
they are a good
absolutely.
thing,
Absolutely.
Like if you're Cameron Haynes and you're doing a podcast / lift and run with Andrew Huberman, for example,
Mhm.
I mean the entire episode. I haven't watched the full episode of the podcast, but I watched the lift, run, and shoot with him, and Huberman's jacked.
Yeah.
You see that?
Well, and obviously Huberman is someone you can trust.
Yeah.
Like that's a very
Like
trustworthy
practice what he
source.
preaches again.
Yes, BioLane is another one.
And again, like would most people BioLane absolutely is a great one, but
Yeah.
should everybody be carrying a 70-pound rock up a 1.5-mile hill of a
Sure.
mountain? Maybe not.
Yeah,
but,
maybe not.
but at the same time, like you watch the video and you get a ton of value from it.
Right.
And maybe somebody was like, I'm going to challenge myself even outside of the norm, what I usually would now.
Mhm.
So that's when clicks can come into play and be a good thing.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Because for that
it
matter,
can inspire you, is what you're saying.
yeah, 100%.
That's what you're saying.
And for that matter, even somebody like Liver King, who really was a charlatan, but he actually, he worked out super hard. He
Mhm.
trained super hard in all of his videos and whatnot. Like there was
Absolutely.
one of him carrying kettlebells with ankle weights and dragging a sled and whatnot. Like it looked crazy. But also, if you're doing a workout like that, you're probably gonna get jacked.
Exactly.
Like more than likely.
Yeah.
So like that is a benefit of what he was
Of
doing.
clicks.
Even though like probably like 20% of what he was doing was good, the other 80% was like, okay, like
Yeah.
this is something that he shouldn't be trusting because he's saying he's jacked because
Right.
of the primal lifestyle or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate in his case because had he just been honest,
Oh,
he could have one
been
talked
fine.
about the benefits that he experiences while being on roids,
Mm.
Instead of hiding it. And it's like I paired up with this type of exercise, this type of diet. Here's why. Here's my experience. He would still be a trustworthy source
absolutely
then.
would.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of both. I really do. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. There are situations when it definitely is.
Definitely.
If I don't know, if Bryce Hall
Yeah.
is giving you advice on a 86-hour fast or something like that, like telling you to do it or something, okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Like,
Or if
that's just the first influencer that came to mind.
if a transgender
Oh.
man, woman, so basically
they,
a man,
them.
a man is essentially like trying to tell you how to parent your kids. Probably not somebody you should listen to. It's probably not a source you
Yeah.
listen to.
Yeah, maybe you should figure out what gender you are first.
Yeah. Before you start teaching topics,
see what's in your pants. You'll know pretty quick. It's not very difficult.
unless they got the surgery, I guess. And that's a
Yeah,
whole
well,
other conversation.
Yeah, that's a breaking news.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, anyway, guys, that's going to be episode 103. Again, if you have not gone and watched our most recent vlog at Dope, definitely go and check that out. Very, very cool vlog.
Buzzing
You get
right
to
now.
meet
Yeah.
Matt Vincent for a few minutes, and you find out what the Thomas Inch dumbbell is.
Mm.
So, guys, go watch that. Let us know what it is, okay? There's your homework for tonight. Again, we have a very exciting guest coming up here in just a couple weeks. This is one we've been looking forward to for literally like a year now.
Yeah.
We're finally making it work.
Yep.
So very excited to bring that one to you guys. You guys are going to love it. I can guarantee it. But anyway, Mitch, it was good to have you back on as well. And guys, share the show as always. Share it to your Instagram stories. Let us know what you think of the episode. Share it with your friends, your family, all that good stuff. Okay? All that helps us grow. We love seeing the Spotify raps. We love seeing you guys share the show. It really, really does mean a lot. So keep that up, guys. And until